Can we talk about racism? All right, racism. When it comes to mentoring, we are not really taught or trained how to address or how to deal with or how to support a young person in overcoming racial barriers, systemic racial barriers, right? And I just wanted to bring it up, and I want to be sensitive to this, but also I don't want to take too much time. In a nutshell, it's really a reminder to everybody that is mentoring that racism is illegal in this country. And if a young person even thinks that somebody in their network is being racist towards them or they're experiencing racism, there are some things that you can do which is in alignment with what the law requires if you are going to make a claim for racism, for example. And if we were in the workplace and we were experiencing racism at work, we would, first of all, capture evidence. So this is something that can't be done swiftly. Sometimes it takes time. And why? Because sometimes racism isn't only about what's been done to you, something physically done to you. It's about how we feel, or it's about exclusion, or it's about kind of there's these undertones, these microaggressions that's being used that you can't actually capture it and say, yeah, on this date, such and such called me the N-word. It's different, right? But you can write down incidences, capture them, put them in chronological order. And this is guidance that you give to the mentee and their parents. So you give guidance to the mentee and their parent to capture incidences of racism or racial inequalities and list them in chronological order. And then when you have like enough evidence to say, actually, we can see a repetitive pattern. And when you read these incidences in my diary, you can also see a repetitive pattern. You would take that information and you make a formal complaint following the race, the equalities and diversities, or the qualities and improvement policy for that organization or for that school or for that college or for that youth organization or for England, right? Or for the airline, like wherever it may be. But I really just want to remind people that if we hear a young person and they have spoken about potential racism or literal racism, or that they have a feeling, which is potential racism, you can't just ignore it. And as people of colour, we might just be like, oh, okay, let's talk about how you feel. That's not right. You might say all these things, right? But actually, there's best practices on how to deal with it. And it's definitely something you should not be ignoring. And why is that? Because it falls under our safeguarding duties. So please don't ignore racism if it comes up in your mentoring sessions. Also, please remember that the country where we are, in fact, the world that we're in, doesn't always respond to claims of racism in the right way. So you're going to have to be really, really patient. And unfortunately, even though it's 2023, soon to be 2024, you might actually have to teach others and convince others that racism has occurred. We're still in that stage where people are threatened by the term racism. They might want to use a different term. I haven't got time to go into it in this video, but just please, I beg, be patient and also manage the expectations of the caregiver for the young person that you're mentoring as well. But definitely give them guidance in how they can raise a complaint if your mentee or someone that they know has experienced racism.